Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and finally we are starting Heaven Officials Blessing. There's a full name for it. It's like TGCF or TCGF. It's a full thing, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I am so hyped and excited to start this episode because I started Modao Zushi back in December of 2020, and around the start of 2021, everybody started asking, when are you going to watch Heaven Officials Blessing? And I was like, what's this? And then I found out that it was MXTX, the author of Modao Zushi. It was her other work, along with Scumbag Villain. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, whenever I get done with Modao Zushi, I'll start Heaven Officials Blessing. And ever since I said that, it's been weighing in the back of my mind, like whenever I'm done, I'm gonna start the Donghua for Heaven Officials Blessing, and I am so excited to finally be here. You can't see it. Well, I guess you can. It's back there on my shelf right there. But I have volumes 1 and 2 of the novel, and I've pre-ordered the other volumes, so they'll be on their way at some point throughout this year. But I've been told a couple things about Heaven Officials Blessing. Not a lot. A couple things. I know Xie Lian is something. I know that's like the ship name or something. I just know that enough from Twitter. That's all I know there. I know that it is a very long story, and I've been told that the first volume of the novel only covers the first season of the Donghua. I'm like, okay, awesome. So hopefully they'll make 4 more seasons, because I think there's 5 novels altogether. And that they're working on a second season now, so hopefully the second season will come out later on this year. So my plans are with this series is what I did with Modao Zushi was I was lucky enough to have several different adaptations and versions and audio dramas and things like that. That's not really the case with this, unfortunately, yet. I know they're working on a live action. I know they're working on season 2. They don't have an audio drama for the novel, unfortunately. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I do want to review the novel, and we'll cross that as we get to it. But for now, we are going to spend the next 12 weeks watching Heaven Officials Blessing, which is pretty exciting. So I say 12 weeks because I've decided to watch this through Netflix. I know Netflix is not great with subtitles, not the best. However, Funimation lags horribly on my computer to the point where it's not even funny. It just sits there and spins, and I'm like, ugh. I didn't want to put up with Funimation. I needed English subtitles. And I had asked Patreon to give me some suggestions, and several people noted in the Discord and on Patreon, they're like, hey, Netflix has got some issues with subtitles, especially with titles of characters in Chinese, but it's fine. But they did say one thing: make sure to watch episodes 1 and 2 on Netflix together. And that's what I'm going to do. Altogether, it's like 36 minutes. I don't know why they split it into 2 episodes, but they did. So we're going to watch episodes 1 and 2 together tonight of Heaven Officials Blessing and put them together. And so that leaves altogether 12 episodes total, because I think there's 13 in the season. So 12 altogether if I put 1 and 2 together as well. So fine by me, but I'm really excited. When I started Modao Zushi, I had no clue what was going on, and I was lucky enough to have someone on YouTube had gave me a character sheet through a Google Drive, and they're like, here's a character sheet, this will help you. And I was like, oh my gosh, and it was a godsend. So I feel, though, now that I've trekked all the way through Modao Zushi in its entirety, I feel a little bit more immersed in the type of supernatural stories like Modao Zushi. So if this is something similar, I feel like I won't be entirely confused. And I can go back when we do our discussion and we'll walk back through the episodes. I'll just mute it and we'll walk back through. And anything that seemed confusing, I can go back through and check it. So if you're joining my channel for the first time, hi, I'm Romania Black, and I'm reviewing this series pretty much blind, other than the fact that I know what the main characters look like, because I've seen pictures of them on the Discord and on Twitter. And I know that it's a long story, and MXTX loves their BL, and I've been told the BL in this is interesting, so I'm like, yes, please. But I've just finished Modao Zushi, and so this is my second jaunt into MXTX Mondays. So Mondays on the channel are going to be MXTX related. We're going to go through a Heaven Officials Blessing and then do SVSSS after that. So, and then we'll go from there. So I'm excited, y'all. I've talked enough, but let's not waste any more time. I can't believe I'm here. We're finally here watching Heaven Officials Blessing, and I am so excited. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just see what all this is about. What's all the hubbub about? What's everybody up to? So we're going to start that episode here and find out and watch episodes 1 and 2 back to back, starting here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this. Did we just get like the love interest showing up in the second episode? Well, okay. I'm getting Modao Sushi flashbacks when I started that donghua being like, okay. I think I kind of get a little bit of the gist. I've taken it back to the first episode. I am going to go back through and watch that ED now that it's different from the second one. But, oh my gosh, it was very beautiful. The animation, the music. Okay, so on first glance, and here's my thing. I don't want to be spoiled by plot points that are going to be relevant later because I'm coming at this having no clue how this story started. I have fresh eyes going into this. So I am going to give what I think is going on, and then I don't want any spoilers. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, it's not this character, it's this. I'll figure it out. I'll figure characters out. That'll be fine. And the gist of it. But I'm sure people will comment down below if there's like some kind of cultural thing I should know about. But the gist that I'm getting before we even start going through these episodes, these first two episodes, is that in this world that you can ascend to godhood basically and be a god, and there's multiple gods that live in this heaven realm that people pray to. It kind of reminds me of the cultivators of Modao Zushi. I always thought, even though the cultivators of Modao Zushi were human, I always thought they were kind of like a level up above just normal humanity. And I always felt like they kind of were like almost like demigods because they didn't really age very quickly. It was slow. They could go without eating for long periods of time. And I know a lot of that is like Chinese culture and different folklore and different tropes that are in storytelling in Chinese stories. And I'm coming from a Western audience perspective, so a lot of the lore and stuff is a little lost on me. But what I gather is that people can ascend to godhood in these realms, and then people worship you, but you also do different deeds, right? And so Lian seems, this is his third time ascending, so he keeps on going back, but then keeps on messing up or does something wrong and gets demoted and then keeps ascending again. And people are like, oh, it's gonna be like 30 minutes this time. I feel bad for Lian. I also feel like Lian has a past that we don't know about. And we got little hints of it at the end of this last episode. And whoever this man with the smirk is, the trademark smirk, and I thought I saw an eye patch. Whoever he is, he's that little kid that Lian saved back when he first became a god. He was that kid that Lian saved, and so he fell in love with him. Okay, and now he's an adult. Okay. But yeah, I feel bad for Lian. Like, all the other gods make fun of him. It reminded me a lot of Unico for some reason. Because in Unico, it's like a Japanese animation from the 80s. In that series, Unico is basically kind of like a demigod, and the other gods are fearful of him and hate him, and they're like, just get rid of him, send him away. And so he ends up just getting cast aside. And I got those vibes, that kind of the god heaven realm. I got those vibes from that. And then he's been charged with, so the deputy god thing seems like the subordinates of the gods, the demigods. You have your gods and your deputy gods, or your demigods, and that's what these two guys are. So they have powers. They have legit powers, and Lian uses that with the bandages. We'll talk about the bandages in this, but he uses it. So the bridegroom at the end that was looking for the bride, we don't get the full story with that. I'm assuming next episode we'll continue on what was happening there. But interesting. So yeah, let's walk through this and just go through it and see what all we get, right? Okay, go through this. And we get the whole thing with the bride. So yeah, it seems like the ghosts, the fierce ghosts, are the main cause of all the people dying in this. Not necessarily the bridegroom himself, but the ghosts that were attacking. I love the bloody origami crane. That's great. I'm assuming it has some kind of meaning that maybe only Lian knows. Interesting. Julian. But yeah, I'm trying to think here. It seems like whatever attacks this woman at the beginning, it's just one of the fierce ghosts, right? And so it's not, yeah, it's just a fierce ghost, and it's not the bridegroom himself. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, lots happened in these two episodes. A lot. They're just welcome to this world. Hope you got it. So, okay. We get the heaven realm. So yeah, the heaven realm is, I'm assuming, up here at the top on this big floating island. It's beautiful. It's pristine. It's what you picture, like if the gods, it reminds me like Mount Olympus, and in the more European culture, it's just like where the gods live, right? And when someone ascends, it's like made a big deal. But the portal ascending, yeah, what's happening? Who is ascending into the heaven realm? Okay, what a fuss. It's like, and so it's this big deal whenever someone ascends, and somebody's like, the palace is destroyed, the bell is destroyed, like it's this big ordeal. Of course, and this Lian guy looks like a complete cinnamon roll. Most ascensions cause tremors, but look at this. The sky nearly collapsed. It's the first time in many years. Someone with a high cultivation level. Okay, so yeah. So Lian just is naturally strong. So him ascending causes all this. All right. Luck favors him. Fortune smiles on him. Extraordinary. He must be famous. Who can this master be? I'm getting shades of Modao Zushi. Shades of Modao Zushi, where we talk about the gossip and how quickly minds can turn. So even in the heaven realm, amidst all these gods and demigods, everyone at first is like, oh my gosh, they must be the most amazing person to ascend. And then as soon as they see that it's Lian, they're like, oh, it's him again. Like, it's just like, it just turns on a dime, right? So hundreds of years ago, Crown Prince of Zhongli's kingdom's ascension was similar. And they're like, don't bring him up, don't mention his name. Oh, okay. So Lian, the first time he ascended was hundreds of years ago. So that little kid that he rescued, I'm pretty sure that was during his first ascension. So the little kid that he rescued, he would be hundreds of years old right now. So is he a god now? Did he ascend? The smirking devilish man in the shadows, did he ascend? He doesn't seem godly though. Interesting. But he would be hundreds of years old. Seems suspicious. But yeah, so yeah, as soon as everybody's like, oh my gosh, what a high cultivation level, let's praise him. And then as soon as Lian's first Zhongli gets brought up, they're like, oh, don't mention him. He's not bad news, bad luck. Yeah, that's bad luck indeed. Let's find out who he is. And then I love that imagery of just the hand like floating there and the bandages. And then it's Lian. Wow. And then there he is. He's like, hey, why is it him again? Wow. And so then this girl, she's so pretty. I love her blue eyes. And like the lily pads, the animation's gorgeous in this. And he's like, oh, don't mind me. And she's like, congratulations, Your Highness. You placed first in this year's contest. The most anticipated official to be cast out of the heaven realm. So he's been demoted twice, right? And this is third time. Third time's a charm. And he's like, what? That's something to be excited about. The winner gets 100 merits. I love, he's like, count me in for the next contest. What a cinnamon roll. What a complete cinnamon bun. And there was no second place. She's like, no, it's a joke. You're the one, nobody likes you. Given my popularity, all three places should be mine. You've overtaken the other competitors. There was no contest last year. Yeah. She's like, everyone hates you because you destroyed the heaven realm. Oh. So he's dressed very interestingly because he's just got like these two white robes on. There's nothing fancy about it. Nothing that would see him seeming like a god, right? There's no fancy ornate decoration in his hair. Nothing crazy about his robes. It's very basic. And it's just very basic and plain. And he's got the bandages around his neck and around his arms. A martial god was hit. Okay. So someone that could slash the bell. But yeah, she's basically just taking Lian on this stroll, being like, look at all the damage you've caused. So when we show up to the other gods, you're going to know why they're really pissed off at you. Because you wrecked the city coming back in. And he's like, oh no. He's such a cinnamon bun. I love it. She's like, yeah, you're to blame on this one. He's like, have I already angered a lot of officials? And she's like, there's a way to patch things up. you have to earn 8.88 million merits. And I don't know the currency of merits and how many you earn. It seems like you earn them by saving people or by people praying to you. So if they pray to Lian, or if he helps them, then he earns merits that way. And so, but 8.88 million is a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of merits. And he's like, I know you don't even have a tenth of it. I can't afford even a 10,000th of it. She's like, don't panic. You'll cross that bridge when you get to it. And he says, in my case, the bridge was burnt. So he's done something really bad in the past for them to consider him such bad luck. He's done something really bad in the past. I don't know if it was his first ascension or second ascension, but he's done something bad. I don't know. My guess was, until he took the bandages off to use as a weapon, my guess was that he got his throat slashed the first time he died, and maybe the second time he died, he had his wrist cut or something, and that's why they're bandaged up. I don't know. Don't spoil me. We'll find out maybe, but it seems like maybe that was the case. And she's like, I have an idea. Do you remember the password for the spiritual... What did she say there? Do you remember the password for the spiritual, it's some password. What did she say there? The spiritual communication array. So we have arrays in this too. We have fierce ghosts, arrays, all fun stuff like that. But yeah, so they go to this chamber to meet with the other gods. Interesting. Why is it him again? Place your bets. Let's bet how long the prince will last. I bet on 1 year. That's too long. They just instantly have no faith in him. They just they think he's just going to get demoted instantly. And so as they're just taking bets on how long Lian's going to last as a god, she's saying, hey, there's a matter that needs your attention up north. Could any one of you martial gods send 2 martial office officials? And nobody wants to do it. I heard that His Majesty is not in the north. Ling Wen. Ling Wen is her name. I think you're recruiting help for someone else. There's a way to get merits quickly. Okay, so we do a lot of flashbacks in this episode, so I want to try to keep track of those. She says there's a way to get merits quickly. Recently, many northern worshippers are praying for help. They asked for heavenly officials to get rid of ghosts. Okay. His Majesty cannot spare time for the north. General Ming Guang is also occupied. If your highness fills in, the merits from the offerings of the worshippers will all be yours. Okay, so yeah, it's one of those things where the offerings and the merits that the worshippers give will go to whichever god or whoever is being prayed to. So that's interesting. We're going to tie that back to the one temple not being there. And so, so he'll get all the merits if he goes and does it instead. Okay. And they said, aren't you that crowned prince? Why did he ascend again? Your highness is back. How many? It's the 3rd time. So yeah, why did he make it back again? He was banished in 30 minutes last time. Oh my God. So he was only a god for 30 minutes and then was gone. Oh no. So yeah, I'm curious how he got banished the first time and the second time, and why he keeps getting brought back. That's interesting. You're overestimating him. He's like, I'm right here. Ling Wen said His Majesty wanted to recruit help. Is it for the crown prince? No one needs help more than Xie Lian. No incense offerings, palaces, the laughing stock, nor believers of the 3 realms. Oh, what a joke. He's like, no one would offer me help. A joke indeed. It's so sad. He's just right there having to listen to all these gods just trash talk him. No. That's so sad. He's like, hey everybody, I'm back. Oh, your ascension caused a fuss. And so we get the guy, I'm guessing the Guang guy is the guy that got hit by the bell, right? And she had to remind him, she's like, the bell, your highness. He's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry that it hit you. And then he says, may I know your name? And then everybody gets all their feathers ruffled. He's like, did you forget it? How could you forget? Has he lost his memory? And she's like, that's Zhang Jin. Right, Zhang Xin. He's Mujing? Okay, there's like all the courtesy names, everything. And then this guy's like, who tore down my palace? Okay, so we have the one guy that sends the deputy god. He's the one that got hit by the bell. And the other guy that had the palace tore down, he sends the deputy god. So yeah, the two deputies that get sent are by the people that Lian like destroyed their own stuff. Okay. And he's like, really? And he's like, oh, hey! Oh my god, he's so precious. This is Nan Yang. Okay, he's like, I know, but I don't think he recognized me. Usually in the mortal realm and didn't know about your ascension. And so, yeah, he apologized to everybody. He's like, I'll compensate you for your losses. Just give me some time. And they're like, you better keep your word, Your Highness. Okay. So they all are like, we got work to do. Bye. Have fun in the north. Taking care of our stuff. Interesting. I love the layout of everything. If it wasn't for Jean Jin, we could have recruited some people. And it's like, oh, it's fine. There's this layer of sadness to him. Like, it's funny because he's not like Wuxian, which I'm glad. I'm very glad that Lian is not like Wei Wuxian in a lot of ways. He's much more cinnamon bunny. Wei Wuxian's a chaotic gremlin. He is a gremlin for sure. He's more like the guy with the eye patch. He seems more like gremlin-y and trolly. This one seems more like a cinnamon bun. Like, he's like if Sishui was was the main character, right? From Modao Zushi. So he seems a lot more innocent and like sweet than Wuxian. But there is one thing where he's like, I'm used to working alone. I'm like, because Wuxian kind of was a loner at times in Modao Zushi. And so I feel like Lian kind of has that same vibe. But he doesn't have any spiritual weapons. All my powers were gone with the 2 banishments. But he lied there. He said all my powers were gone. And he's like, I can't wield those weapons in the mortal realm, but he still has some power. So I'm like, oh, Lian, you weren't quite truthful with old Ling there. And so she sends him on his way, tells him to be careful, contact her if he needs anything. And sends him with the scroll, the details of the task. And they call him Your Highness, which is, it's funny because they call him Your Highness, but I think they call some other people Your Highness in this as well. And she's like, I'm just doing my work. But he thanks her. When His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor comes back, you should thank him yourself. So there is a Heavenly Emperor who's like the main one, right? And that's the one that he should thank, but he's not there at the moment. But yeah, Lian just has the most simple look. May the heavenly official's blessing shatter all taboos. Like he knows the phrase. He's been through this before. Okay, interesting. So we go to Mount Yuzhun, old Mount Yuzhun, where we have the 2 deputies come. I love the butterfly communication. It reminded me of the manga and the anime Bleach. Because in Bleach, they communicate with the butterflies. I like that. That's really cool. I love his straw hat with the flowy veil that's there. It's very mysterious and ethereal. I like that look about him. It's nice. But yeah. So he finds some help. He finds some help in the form of the 2 deputy gods. And they should be there anytime. And then they just pop in because they're gods. They just show right up. Okay, and we have these 2 cats. I love their outfits. Their outfits are a bit more ornate and detailed than in Modao Zushi, which is interesting. I like it. So we have, it seems they've come to behead me instead of aiding me. Like, they're not happy to be there. Did you trick them? He's like, Ling Wen. She just, like, hangs up. I love it. But, so we get these guys named. Poor Lian. He's just like, hi. I'm not the best person to work for, but here I am. May I know who you guys are? He says, Nan Feng and Fu Yao. Okay. So Feng and Yao. He's like, could you tell me which gods are you working for? And so it's Nan Yang. So he's Nan Ying working for Nan Yang, and he's Yao working for Jin. So, of course, working for the two gods that he destroyed their stuff. I love how animated that Lian is. He's just like all over the place. And he's just like, just manic when he's like, oh no, it's fine. But the gods that they are deputies for do not know that they're helping Lian, which is interesting. Like, you're the crown prince. You are the conscience of men, the attention of the world. And he's like, did he just roll his eyes at me? Yeah. I love it. So interesting. So he's supposed to represent and be like a god for the people, but interesting. Okay. I love the gloves and everything on both these. And I love that they're instantly fighting. And Leanne's like, can't we all get along and work together? It's funny because it's kind of like, again, like with Modao Zushi, it's sort of a play on the whole juniors thing where the juniors work with Wushin, but they're the younger ones that are kind of like using Wushin as a mentor in a way. And here, it's just these two guys were forced to work with Lian against their will. So I get the impression that the whole bridal thing, that this guy in the red was looking for Lian instead of the other brides. But I get the impression that the bridegroom didn't kidnap the brides. It's that the fierce ghosts got to them before he showed up and killed them all first. That was just my impression from it. Okay. And so nothing, the brides have nothing in common. Nobody's seen what the bridegroom looks like. And so then we get this whole thing with the decoy. And everybody's mad because they're going to take the decoy up to the mountain to try to lure it. Okay? So then this girl shows up. And she's mad. And the doll is a decoy. I like that they're like, something's not right. Leanne's like, let's check it out. So I love that again. MXTX. Time to Scooby-Doo it, right? And so this girl shows up telling them to stop. And she tries to look in to see the doll. But then the guy that looked like Connie from Attack on Titan, but the guy ends up interrupting her, right? It's a decoy. And he just saunters on up and says, he calls her a bitch, which is really sad. You're just messing with our plans. He's like, well, you could have agreed to be our decoy instead of the doll, but you wouldn't do it. And so, I like that Yao's like, what a hideous girl. And then Leanne's like, that's not very nice. like you're just being polite. So it's, okay, so what are their names? The townspeople just said their names. Are they siblings? Or it said that's Zhao, Pingtao, and Zhao Ying. Okay. Yes, they are. They're gang members involved with illicit affairs. Okay. They're after the bounty offered by the official, so they want to catch the bridegroom. Okay, so they might be related, and she's just trying to tell him not to do it because it's dangerous. And he's like, we just want the bounty money. What's wrong with that? Okay, and he pushes her away and tears her skirt. And that's when, he tears her skirt, and that's where Lian draws the line. He's like, no, nobody's going to hurt anybody on my watch. And I love the animation here. Because, you see that Yao and Yeng are both like, hey, what a bully. But you see, like, the hat's covering up his face, and you don't get to see his expression. And then he just, like, zooms past them. I love it. I heard the bridegroom's face is bandaged and hideous. Which ties back to the boy that was bandaged. Okay. You both would make a good couple. And he just knocks him back. I love this. I love this shot of him like with the sunlight peering over him. I love that. I want to get a picture of that. I don't think I'll use it for the thumbnail, but I do want to get a picture of that. Just like him standing like a god above her, like protecting her, and had just used the two fingers. That's so good. Oh my gosh. He's like, who the hell are you? And for a brief moment, he's very serious. When Lian gets serious, and they say he has an evil power, but it's like, no. Meanwhile, Fang just uses his powers to like knock everything back. And he ended up, so when he put his hand on the column, it crumpled it. And that's why when the old man came back and touched it, it disintegrated. All makes sense. Okay. It's like, he touches the pole and it breaks. And so he tries to help the girl out. He's like, oh, miss, are you all right? And when he notices that her dress is torn, he tries to like take off his robe to give it to her, but she thinks he's being perverted and stripping in front of her. and misunderstands. Okay. And they're both like, Fang and Yao are like, So they end up paying like all of the tolls for the damage that they caused. And so they ask where the nearest Mingguang temple is. And he says that there's not one. We don't have one. Instead, we have he says what? He says we have a non-Yang temple. Okay, so that's interesting because we've established that all of these gods are trying to get merits. So it sounds like the one god, Yang, that Yang works for, he's the one establishing all these temples, and there aren't temples for the other gods in the region, which they think is odd. So he's maybe overextending his territory. Maybe that's not allowed. Just, it's interesting that they bring it up, and they're like, But then, yeah. So they decided to go in town. So I want to see this ED. Oh. I guess we'll probably see this ED again in the next episode, but I just want to go through it. But yeah, we see the Heaven Realm. And it's all in like the moonlight. Okay, we see Lian with a mask catching the boy with the bandages. Okay. In all the big robes looking beautiful. Okay. Interesting. And the little boy looking with like a branch of flowers and the red umbrella. Okay, we see a woman with like beautiful, like long nails and another man. Interesting. And we see what looks like someone fighting. There's a kid with rags. This story is so long and huge. I'm like, what? But then we see them walking with the butterflies to the forest with the umbrella. Oh, this ED is gorgeous. I can't wait to see it with y'all in the next. And there he is. Look at this. There he is. Okay. Okay. Oh, so there's something around his neck. Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. So interesting. Okay. Questions. I have so many questions, but I don't want spoilers. So, okay. Interesting. I'm so curious. Okay. So then we have episode 2, and they go into the temple. And so trying to figure out General Nang. Okay, what'd they say here? The story behind the Nanyang temples. Nanyang temples. And so they're like, a long time ago, General Nanyang was called General Duke. But a careless king misspelled Duke, replacing the U with I, and so it was called Dick instead of Duke. Okay, which would cause some problems. Gotcha. That's interesting. And so yeah, so these two, so Yao and Yeng start fighting each other. And poor Lian like picks up the meat bun and stuff, and they're like, no, it was on the ground, don't eat it. But yeah, these two just fighting, like, just now keys. That's how I want to be with them. Like, I totally foresee these two. I imagine a lot of people maybe ship Yao and Yeng. Or Yao and Yeng. I figure people ship them together because they just seem like that opposites attract sort of thing. They're always fighting, but we'll probably get it on by the end of this series. And so then Lian sits down the law. He's like, no, I am the one in charge here. Let's not forget that. You guys are here to aid me. So who's in charge? And they're like, you. And so he's like, okay. So then they decide to do like a decoy. And they're going to lure the bridegroom out. And at first, I felt so bad. I felt bad because poor Lian, he was trying, right? And so he talks to Ling Wen. He talks to her thanks to Yang. He's able to communicate with her and try to figure out something about the rankings. Okay. So he's like, out of the ranking of fierce, severe, wrath, and devastation. So fierce corpses or fierce ghosts are like the least worrisome in this story. In Modao Zushi, they were kind of like a big deal. But here, they're like the least of your worries. It goes from fierce to severe to wrath to devastation. And so, okay, they say that the bridegroom is a ghost and is wrath. which is the second strongest. So, okay. So does that mean that the guy at the end with the umbrella that we assume is the kid from back then, he's a ghost, which would make sense if he's hundreds of years old, because they said it's been hundreds of years since Lian first ascended. So if he was a wrath ghost, that would make sense. So, but he's like more than Wen Ning. He's like super coherent if he's a ghost. Interesting. The second highest rank. Interesting. So yeah, he dresses up, and poor Lian, he has way too much rouge on, but he tried. And that's when the girl comes back. And he tries to say, he's like, oh no, this isn't my hobby. I'm not dressing in drag. That's not me. Don't get me wrong. He blushes. I don't have such a hobby. And she's like, oh, well, if you're luring the bridegroom, I want to help you. I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. So she helps get him ready. And she does a great job. It shows where she mended her skirt. She brought some food as gratitude for him. And decides to help him get dressed up to pose as the bride. Which she did a good job. Looks like a great bride. So the Ping Yao guy thinks that they're just going to wait till all the ghosts are gone and then pick at the carriage and stuff after the dust has settled. But since this guy took off with Lian, I don't know how that's going to get resolved. I'm assuming we're going to find out next episode. This episode, like the latter half, it's like all mystery. It's like, who's this guy? He clearly has been like trying to find Lian because he instantly takes his hand and leads him out. Does Lian know who he is? Does Lian understand what's going on? Are we as the audience supposed to know what's going on? I'm assuming we're going to find out next episode. But yeah, I love the action scene with the ghosts, the ghouls. I love the action scene there. I love that we see not only Yao and Yeng using their powers, but we see the bandages, and the bandages that Lian has comes off his arms and like just slice up the ghouls. I love it. I love it. So I'm like, okay, well, if his bandages on his arms can do that, can the ones around his neck do that as well? Very curious. And they're like, I thought your powers were gone. He said, there are exceptions. So yeah, he's keeping a few things secret. And he's like, and he tells them all to leave, which makes sense. He's going to lure, he's like, I can handle these corpses. If you all just leave, I'll handle them all, and then you guys can come back. I want to see the bridegroom. Okay. And so Yao's like, just do what he says. And they decide to leave. And so he manages to destroy all the corpses, and that's when the butterflies start to come up. Now, he made a comment that when we first heard the little girl sound, which was super creepy, in the song it said never ever smile, but Lian made the comment that he's been smiling this whole time. So I'm wondering if either the smiling was keeping the ghouls at bay because it wasn't doing what the song suggested, or if it was attracting them because he wasn't doing what the song suggested. So that's interesting. But yeah, and then this butterflies show up, and it's all silvery and pretty, and it's quiet, and then this handsome, dashing rogue comes in with his hand with the red string of fate. And he says, who is it? And it looks like he's waiting to see the bridegroom, like he doesn't know who it's going to be. And he pulls back, and there's a red string of fate tied around his finger. Tied around his ring finger. Oh, uh-huh. Like he's been waiting to see him. Like he's been searching for him. Oh, I'm so intrigued. Okay, but we get this flashback. There was an ancient kingdom called Zhanli in the Central Plain, which is where his first ascension happened. Its crown prince was called Xie Lian. Okay. The prince cherished his people and was well cultivated. Okay. His beauty is widely known by his people. Okay, and it has like the mask on and all the jewelry and everything. Oh, his figure was etched in people's memory. Yeah, well, it's like the middle finger. So it's kind of, it's the middle finger, but okay. And pulling him out of the cart. like gently, and falling into him. And his cuffs have the butterflies on them. Oh, okay. But then this little boy, when he saved a falling child on Shinwoo Street. Oh, that's gorgeous. And holding the kid's hand the same way that their hands are being held. What? Oh. And we don't get to see his face, but he has the smile. That smirk. Oh no. His dazzling wit rid the people of a ghost on Union Bridge. So it talks about like all the good things that he did. He rescued that kid on the street, and then it shows him fighting this like monster with the swords. Like what? And the swords coming out of its stomach. What? Okay. And so it looks like that might have been like a devastation ghost perhaps. But it shows him, and he has a sword in this. Now he has a sword in this first battle, so I'm curious why he lost the sword or what happened to it. But the sword fighting's great. Like, they're just going at it. It's amazing. Huh. Interesting. And yeah, the monster like aims at him and then just comes up out of the water and slices the monster. But we don't get to see the outcome of the battle, right? And instead we see the heavenly emperor saw great potential in the crown prince, and he ascended into heaven at a very young age. Okay, so during all this battle and during the stuff in the city, he was the prince of this kingdom, but he wasn't a god yet. But because he showed all this potential, the higher emperor was like, oh, I'll make you a god and let you ascend to heaven. Okay. Interesting. And I guess that's what we see him there behind him. Okay. Interesting. And so yeah, he's got the eye patch. There's height difference. They're clearly shipped together. There's height difference, y'all. And he just makes the wolves go away. They're like, oh hell no, I ain't messing with this guy. Interesting. So then we see like this place on fire. It says, yet not long after that, calamity hit the Zhanli kingdom. Oh, the crown prince went to the mortal realm to save his kingdom, but to no avail, and it ended in devastation. Oh, and we see, I'm assuming that's him, only a little bit older. Oh, with the bandages still. And it says, I think Feng Jin and Mu Qing did a good job. Oh, good relationships are useless. He's the joke of the three realms. Oh, and so we see like that boy go after Xie Lian. Later, Xie Lian was demoted again within half an hour of ascension. Oh. So I'm assuming that he went back to save his kingdom and he couldn't do it, and that's why he was demoted. And then he went back a second time, and like after half an hour he was demoted, so... Or if that was the time that it happened. But yeah, there's this like blood forest. There's like corpses everywhere and butterflies that are translucent. And then meanwhile, this tall, devilishly handsome man with the umbrella leading Lian like through the woods, stepping on bones as he goes, stepping on skulls. What is happening? And just like walking him through this pathway. And so then we see Lian with the umbrella. Oh, in front of this temple. Oh. And then leaving it there. And that's when the little kid shows up and sees, if you can't find a reason to live, then take me as your reason to live. Oh, and he has bandages on too. And it shows him running after the umbrella. So there's so much being set up here. Like all these little things of how these two know each other. But we as the audience don't know yet. And I think that's going to be the thing of having it all come together. So my big question is, does Lian know that this guy is the kid. I don't think he does. And they're just like walking through the blood, and he's like got this devilish smile. What? Like he's just found what he's been looking for. And then we see Lian's hat with the robes and the scrolls there. Kind benefactors, the shrine is dilapidated. Please donate money for the repairs and gain merits. Oh. And there's like the blood on the umbrella. Okay. Huh. And we see like brooms and things to clean with. Okay. I'm trying to see like if there's any other details in this ED. And we see like a temple with people like women standing behind it. We see a temple with the guy, and then all the scrolls keep piling up. We see like snakes and stuff here. Like what? And this big like tornado with two figures in it. And then we see Lian's picture as a god there with the incense burning and like all the offerings. And some kind of necklace there on the table. So, okay. I feel like the book is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so curious. I want to say that I feel the same way I did at the end of episode 1 of Modazushi. And that's not a bad thing. I don't want spoilers, obviously. I don't want y'all to tell me who this guy is or what these scenes mean. Don't tell me these things. I don't want to know yet. I think that's part of the mystery, is that MXTX is giving us like, here's all these crumbs that eventually will get explained, but this is just to entice you to want to keep reading and keep watching. And I will. But I don't think I'm confused necessarily, but I think getting the names down will be something that'll have to come as we go, because there's lots of new names. But I think that the idea of Lian proving himself, that's the big thing, is that Lian has a shady past. Something has happened that we as the audience don't know about yet, that we're going to figure it out as we go. But Lian is trying to get back his reputation and right any wrongs that have seemingly happened in the past. And I'm all for that. And then this mysterious man has showed up at the end that seems to be like his one true love looking for him. I don't want confirmation or deconfirmation of any of my theories. We'll figure out as we go, and then I'll obviously be reading the novels afterwards. But okay. That was really cool. I love Lian. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. I love Lian. He is a cinnamon bun. I love that we have a cinnamon bun as the main character. I love that as our protagonist. Because usually, like in Modazushi, you have Wen Ning, you have Sishui, you have Jishin or Zaizen. You have them that are like cinnamon buns, but they're not the main characters. They're just relegated to like side characters. Lian seems like a complete innocent angel bean. And I love him already. I want to like gently hold him and be like, it's okay that they're making fun of you. But I love him already. But I can see why y'all would like this tall, dark, and handsome man that's mysterious. That smirk. TM. Like put a trademark on that smirk. But yeah, I really like these 2 episodes. Interesting setup. They give us just enough to reel us in. Just be like, you want to keep watching, right? And I do, because I want to see if we get resolution with the bridegroom next episode. I want to see if Lian remembers who he is, what ends up happening with that. What's the deal with like there only being a certain type of temple there? What's the deal with these 2 our deputy gods, and like are they going to tell their bosses that they're helping Lian? It seems like Lian is actively being kept out of Ascension. It seems like there's something behind the scenes, but I just don't know what yet. But that's what we'll figure out, right? But this was so exciting. I'm all on board. Hop aboard the Heaven Officials Blessing train. Let's do this. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm really excited to see where this series goes. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch the first ED in hindsight, because it would have ruined the surprise. But now I'm super curious. So we shall see. But in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back with episode 3 next week of Heaven Officials Blessing. Bye.